We are now on our second lesson of our wonderful geographical investigation. So what we are doing today is we are looking at different types of data and how we can use those to complete our investigation. So I'm just going to take you through the first few bits of the PowerPoint. So today we're thinking about our methods, our methodology of our data collection. And before we can really think about how we are going to collect our data, we're going to think about what different types of data there are. So starting off with what your favorite chocolate bar is, and the people who are at home with you, what are their favorite chocolate bars? From this list, make a little tally. Is it a Snickers? Is it a Kit Kat? Is it a Mars bar? What works for you? So once you have counted that up, I'll give you a moment. Now that you've counted that up, the type of data that you've just collected is what we would consider primary data, okay? Now, comparing our primary data that you've just collected with what the whole country thinks, you might find some huge differences. This second type of data, where we are looking at what lots of other people think, is called secondary data. So we're going to start off with some definitions, and I'm going to ask you to write a couple of definitions now on page 7, please. Okay, so these first two definitions on page 7. As you continue with this PowerPoint on your own, I want you to make your best effort to complete it before you actually look at the answers. Try and work out what you think they will be, okay? Now, the reason that all of this is so important is the following. There are two parts of our investigation. There are two questions, and you picked your hypothesis last lesson. Today, we're thinking about our first investigation question. Is Preston Manor as diverse as this London Borough of Brent? And in order to do that, we can't really collect our own data. We can't speak to every single person in Brent and find out where they're from, whether they're as diverse as Preston Manor is. So we're going to have to use some secondary data. We're going to use data that the census gives us, that Brent gives us, and we're going to use data that I've taken off our school systems to see who is in our school and whether those two pieces of secondary data can be compared. So we're going to be looking at Preston students at Preston Manor's country of origin, which I'm giving to you, and we're going to look at data from Brent Council to compare it to. Okay. For the second question, though, it's a very different one. It's a very much more subjective and opinion-based question. Here we're asking, what is the impact of migration and diversity on Preston Manor School? We know that we're diverse, but what does that mean for us in our daily lives? So you're going to collect your own primary data using a questionnaire to see what people's perceptions of diversity at Preston Manor are like. We want to know, what do people think about the diversity? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And in what ways? That is going to require you to send your Google Forms, to use your Instagram followers or your Snapchat followers to get them to start thinking about what they think of Preston Manor and its diversity, okay? So getting on with the rest of this lesson, please, on your own, but hopefully that has given you some idea of what it is we're investigating and why you need to understand these data collection methods.